So we're well into our themed webinar series. We are focusing on literary tourism this time. A reminder, I'm Katie Reese. I'm here in our New York City office. I also have Lisa from our LA office on as well. So I will begin. So with literary tourism, books open the world to us, bringing us closer to new places, cultures, and perspectives. They can make you nostalgic for a place you've never seen, whether it's tracing the footsteps of fictional heroes, planning a slow holiday around a reading retreat, or chasing the world's most beautiful bookshops and libraries. So people are choosing travel and literature to escape, reconnect, and restore. And underlining this, Skyscanner's 2026 Travel Trends report found that 55% of travelers had booked a trip or would consider one inspired by a book. So Great Britain in particular is a global powerhouse of literary tourism, home to some of the world's most celebrated writers whose stories continue to inspire readers across generations and continents. The enduring international appeal of authors like Austen, Shakespeare, Dickens, Wordsworth, Bronte, Beatrix Potter, George Eliot, among so many others, has transformed locations across Britain into living storybooks. And with that, the rise of book-to-film adaptations has placed not just the actual places mentioned in books or locations that inspired the authors on the map, but also places filmed. In the past year, we've seen the movies Hamnet, Agatha Christie's Seven Dials, and Wuthering Heights premiere. And later this year, we'll see a Sense and Sensibility remake, as well as a 6-part series adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, which will be on Netflix. And our speakers today will dive into places and experiences for literary lovers, whether it's for a client who wants a dedicated trip or just a taste during their journey. So happy to have our speakers with us today. 6 p.m. their time, so I'm grateful that they've stayed on. And without further ado, I am going to introduce Visit Peak District, Amy, and Derbyshire with Amy Noten, and Chatsworth with Paul Cunningham Hayes. So Amy, if you wouldn't mind just taking control from here.
Fabulous. Thank you, Katie. Hello, everyone. So my name is Amy. I look after travel trade for Visit Peak District and Derbyshire, and I'm going to be speaking to you a little bit about an area that's inspired some of Britain's most famous authors, but in particular Jane Austen. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our literary experiences, and then I'm going to hand over to Paul from Chatsworth. So there is not a finer county in England than Derbyshire. It's what Jane Austen wrote in Pride and Prejudice, and more than 200 years later, we still feel that's pretty true. As Elizabeth Bennet travels through Derbyshire towards Pemberley, Austen describes a landscape of grand country houses, picturesque villages, and dramatic scenery, and they all continue to captivate visitors today. Derbyshire left a lasting impression on Austen, and today visitors can explore some of the landscapes that inspired her. So the Peak District is home to England's first national park, which celebrates its 75th anniversary this year. It's a great year to visit. We've got lots of inspiring landscapes and stunning countryside that have inspired lots of famous authors, including Charlotte Bronte. We've got storybooks, towns and villages, and we can also visit charming film locations as well. So there's Chatsworth there on the bottom right, where the 2005 film adaptation of Pride and Prejudice was shot. So Derbyshire offers so many great opportunities for literary tourism. A little bit about where we are. So we're right at the centre of England, just in that shaded area on the right-hand side of the map. One of the area's biggest strengths is just how easy it is to include within a wider UK itinerary. Despite being very rural, the Peak District sits right at the heart of England. It's around 2 hours by train from London, less than an hour from Manchester, and within really easy reach of Manchester and Birmingham airports as well. So it's a great addition to both city breaks and also wider touring programmes. And when visitors arrive, they don't need to travel far to explore. The majority of our key attractions are often within 30 to 40 minutes of each other, so it's very easy to explore a lot of different highlights in a single day. And for visitors who don't want to drive, we have some really great public transport links as well. There's a train line that runs right through the centre of the Peak District, connecting Manchester with Sheffield. And we also have a number of private transport operators as well. So as I mentioned, Derbyshire's strongest literary connection is with Jane Austen. It's believed that Jane Austen visited Bakewell, shown there on the left-hand side, whilst writing Pride and Prejudice. The town is widely believed to have inspired the fictional town of Lambton in the novel, and it's where Elizabeth Bennet stays before she visits Pemberley. It's also rumoured that Jane Austen actually stayed at the Rutland Arms Hotel in the town, where she allegedly wrote the final chapters of the novel. On the right-hand side of the screen is Chatsworth. So it's Chatsworth that was the inspiration for Mr. Darcy's home of Pemberley. It's believed that Austen was directly inspired by Chatsworth, and Chatsworth itself also featured in the 2005 film adaptation of Pride and Prejudice as well. So Paul will talk about that in a little bit more detail shortly. Also linked to Austen is the beauty spot of Stanage Edge, up there on the top right-hand side. Stanage is a really popular, iconic beauty spot in the Peak District, and it's actually where the Pride and Prejudice film was shot. There's a very famous scene with Keira Knightley looking out over the beautiful countryside, dreaming of Mr. Darcy. Nearby Haddon Hall, it's one of England's best-kept medieval manor houses. That was also featured in the Pride and Prejudice film, but it's been in lots of other films as well, and really does feel like stepping straight into a novel. It was the Lambton Inn in Pride and Prejudice as well, and the nearby Peacock at Roseley is actually where the cast of Pride and Prejudice stayed. There's lots of opportunities there for literary fans to visit lots of key sites. Another fun fact is that Northlees Hall in Hathersage, which is near to Stanage Edge, inspired Charlotte Bronte as well, and has lots of links to Jane Eyre. So visitors can do much more than simply visit these locations. They can also immerse themselves in a whole range of bookable literary experiences, from tours of Chatsworth House and Gardens to Haddon Hall with specialist film tours where you can go behind the scenes and learn about the Hollywood stars that have shot films there. You can stay at the Peacock at Roseley where the cast of Pride and Prejudice stayed. You can enjoy themed literary guided walks with some brilliant guided experience providers in the area. We've got Pride and Prejudice afternoon tea that you can have at the Cavendish at Baslow. It's a beautiful 4-star boutique hotel on the Chatsworth estate. You can make your own Bakewell pudding, which is a famous local delicacy in the Peak District. So when you visit Bakewell to find out about Austen's links, you can try making your own Bakewell pudding as well. And we've also got the Buxton Crescent Heritage Experience, which is a great Regency-themed attraction. So guests can dress up, pretend they're in an Austen novel and walk around the town of Buxton, which has some amazing Georgian architecture. All of these experiences are fully bookable and offer trade rates, and I'd be very happy to offer introductions as well. This is just one example of how easy it is to package the area into a 2-day itinerary. So this itinerary starts and ends in Manchester, where you can get direct public transport into the area. So day 1 is Jane Austen's Derbyshire. You can visit Chatsworth, visit Bakewell, have a tour of Haddon Hall, and then stay overnight on the Chatsworth estate or at the Peacock. And on day 2, you can enjoy a beautiful countryside walk at Stanage Edge, head into Hathersage and have some lunch and see the areas that inspired Charlotte Bronte, and then explore the elegant Georgian spa town of Buxton for staying overnight at the Buxton Crescent Hotel, a Grade 1 listed spa hotel with 81 rooms and beautiful spa facilities as well. Just wanted to also highlight some key events that take place in the area for literary fans. We've got Chatsworth has a Jane Austen Festival, which is just incredible. You can see some pictures there at the bottom of the screen. Everyone dresses up. It's a real celebration of Austen. There's workshops, events, and lots of experiences taking place. We have Buxton International Festival of Opera, Music and Literature, which attracts authors from all over the world. There's a Georgian Ball in September. Chatsworth has a Queen's Reading Room event in September, which is hosted by Queen Camilla. And then we also have a Winter Pride and Prejudice Ball as well. So there's lots of different experiences taking place throughout the year. And I'm now going to share a short video that just brings some of those Jane Austen themed experiences to life.
How to spend the perfect few days in Jane Austen's Derbyshire. Start in the market town of Bakewell, believed to be the inspiration for Jane Austen's Lambton in Pride and Prejudice. Wander the charming streets and then pop into the Bakewell pudding shop to try the famous local delicacy. From here it's just a 5-minute bus ride to Chatsworth, Mr. Darcy's home in the 2005 Pride and Prejudice film. There's over 25 rooms to explore, and in the gift shop there's even a bust of Mr. Darcy. Just down the road, Haddon Hall is one of England's best preserved medieval stately homes and was the Lambton Inn in the 2005 film. With its cosy rooms and shadowy corners, it feels like stepping straight into an Austen novel. End your day at the Peacock at Roseley, a charming boutique hotel where the cast of Pride and Prejudice stayed during filming. You can even book the very same room that Mr. Darcy once slept in. The next day, lace up for fresh air and fantastic views at Stanage Edge, the dramatic Gritstone Ridge for an iconic scene where Elizabeth Bennet dreams of her dashing Mr. Darcy. End your trip with rest and relaxation at Buxton Crescent for a real taste of Regency elegance. This Grade 1 listed building has been beautifully refurbished and even has a spectacular ballroom that holds Regency balls. To find out more about Jane Austen's Derbyshire, go to visitpeakdistrict.com.
Thank you very much, everybody. We're very happy to help with introductions to local businesses. We'd be delighted to work with you. So any information that you need, whether it's itinerary planning, support, destination information, maps and guides, or just a copy of our travel trade brochure or imagery to promote the area, please do get in touch. We'd be very happy to work together. And I'm now going to hand over to Paul from Chatsworth.
Hi everybody. So thank you for that introduction, Amy. What a fantastic introduction to Chatsworth. You kind of sold it a bit for me already, which is wonderful. So Chatsworth, we're located in the Peak District, as Amy has said. We're a Grade 1 listed house and 16th century stables block, 105-acre garden, 2,000-acre park, farmyard adventure playground, and importantly, one of Europe's most significant private art collections. Chatsworth has been home to the Duke and Duchess of Devonshire for 16 generations, but we're also a registered charity. The charity is there to look after the house, the collections, the garden and parkland, and make sure it's here for another 400 years. So the house is an iconic country house. It's set in the heart of England, and as Amy said, Jane Austen fans will recognise it from a key filming location in the 2005 Pride and Prejudice. Chatsworth is rumoured to be, but clearly is, the inspiration for Pemberley in Jane Austen's classic. In fact, as Amy said, Austen stayed in the Rutland Arms Hotel in Bakewell, just 6 miles away when she was writing Pride and Prejudice. And our tradition of welcoming visitors is as strong now as it was then, and we've always welcomed visitors to Chatsworth. So the same family, the Duke and Duchess of Devonshire, have lived here since the 1500s. And the house, the garden and the collections are a record of one family's tastes across 5 centuries. Building on the family's strong heritage of working with the best contemporary artists of the time, designers and thinkers across 5 centuries, we've got a strong cultural programme of exhibitions and events. We commission new works of art, and we also share and highlight historic works from the incredible collection, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a second. It's a living, breathing house, and the collection spans everything from old masters such as Rembrandt and Van Dyck to contemporary artists such as Lucian Freud. There are paintings, historic interiors, furniture, contemporary ceramics, and also, of course, there are historic books. Alongside the collections, we've got an extremely knowledgeable and friendly team of guides and specialists, and we can provide everything from audio guides and guidebooks to guided tours, behind-the-scene trips, and high-end bespoke experiences. The house sits in a 105-acre capability brown garden, and we've worked over many generations with cutting-edge garden designers, most recently with Dan Pearson and Tom Stewart-Smith, which included a 15-acre area of the garden, which was sponsored by Gucci as part of their Gucci places. In fact, Chatsworth was the first Gucci place. Like the house, the garden is a mixture of historic structures, stunning landscapes and scenery, and amazing seasonal planting. I mean, it's beautiful. Right now, it's absolutely stunning in the garden, and that will give way later in the year to beautiful autumn colours. And like the house, we can tailor the experiences to whatever your clients would want. And that top left picture is another photo from the Regency Festival that Amy talked about before, and that's one of the many kind of literature-themed events that we host. So I can just take you back to a picture of the library from one of my previous slides. So that space was created by the 6th Duke, who brought together the family's lots of different libraries that it had in a few different locations, and he brought them all together at Chatsworth in the early 1800s and then expanded the collection at that point. The library and the anti-library at Chatsworth contains more than 17,000 books, which includes medieval manuscripts, rare early printed books, but the wider collection outside of the library encompasses around 40,000 volumes. So it's one of Britain's most remarkable private libraries, and obviously, as you can see by that, it's absolutely stunning. And like all good libraries, it's got a secret door. I couldn't resist putting this in. So all good libraries should have a secret door. Ours has, and I don't know if you can see that on the top left. There's a couple of funny titles on the fake books. So you've got The Endless Road by Wander Far, and you've got what's that? Jellies and Blancmanges by Somerset. So, as well as like amazing literature things, there's fun in what we do as well here at Chatsworth. So just touching on some of those literary treasures. It reflects, as I said, the collection by successive generations of the family. And those collections range from medieval and early printed books through to modern literature, travel writing, politics, history and the arts. And particularly significant are our incunables, so they're books printed before 1500, which illustrate the earliest years of European printing. For literary visitors, we've got highlights include first editions of Pride and Prejudice, which you can see in the top corner there, alongside historic editions of works such as rare handwritten extracts from the Canterbury Tales from the 1450s. And at the bottom, that's a copy of Triumphs by Petrarch, which originally belonged to the Medicis of Florence, who like the Dukes of Devonshire, had been patrons of culture and the arts. And through our exhibitions, we regularly bring rarely seen treasures out of storage, out from behind the scenes, and connect visitors with the literary history of Chatsworth and the wider story of literature in Britain. This year, our exhibition is called House of Stories, Tales from the Chatsworth Library, and all of the things I'm going to talk about today are included in that exhibition and are on view to the public. What we've got here is, on the right-hand side, is a letter from Charles Dickens to the Duke of Devonshire. The house has connections with major literary and historical figures beyond Jane Austen. And writers such as Dickens, Byron, Charlotte Bronte, Elizabeth Gaskell, T. Lawrence of Arabia have all got associations with Chatsworth. There are many letters between them and the family in the collection, and they're on display for the visitors, as well as many editions of their work. The house has a long-standing role as a meeting place for writers, readers, patrons, and that literary culture. And many of these letters are on display for visitors. I picked this one particularly because you probably can't read that very well, but it's from Dickens. It's October 1857. It says, "Dear Duke of Devonshire," and it starts, "As I travelled from Chesterfield on the railway carriage." So obviously Dickens, he's come up from London, 2 hours from London, short hop across to Chatsworth. As your clients, they can travel in the same footsteps as Dickens and come up from London for the day. The correspondence is fascinating. They reveal relationships between the family and literary writers that show the patronage of big families and houses like this for the arts in Britain and around the world. It's a really important part of what we do, being able to share these kind of things. Amy touched on this a little bit, and many visitors arrive because of our literary history and our links to Pride and Prejudice. But those links are still very much alive today. So there's Queen Camilla there. She hosts what's called the Queen Reading Room. It's her literary charity, and it's around to encourage people to read, and also to foreground the benefits of reading for social cohesion and also for mental health and enjoyment. And they have a flagship annual festival which takes place at Chatsworth. And we've had numerous authors, and we've got loads of exciting people lined up this year as well. But I just want to highlight a couple. So we've got Julia Quinn, who obviously is the creator of Bridgerton. We've got Lee Child, who wrote the Jack Reacher series, and Harlan Coben, the thriller superstar that he is. And then we've got Thursday Murder Club's author, Richard Osman. I think there's just been a big Netflix series of his just going out on Netflix. And then Helen Fielding, who's a Bridget Jones creator. This event is a really unique blend of literary culture, heritage, screen tourism, and it's talks, it's events, and it's tours taking place across the whole festival. And obviously, you're going to come and see all of this amazing stuff. You're going to need somewhere to stay. And alongside the house and gardens, we've got a suite of hotels, holiday cottages, and inns. And I particularly wanted to pick out these two, but in particular the Cavendish. So the Cavendish Hotel is stunning location. All of the artwork and the furniture and the books in the Cavendish Hotel come from the family's private collection and from Chatsworth. And it's just, last year it won the Times UK Hotel of the Year and also the Condé Nast Traveller's Choice Award. This year it's just won the AA Hotel of the Year for 2026. It's got 4 AA Red Stars and a Michelin Key, and currently it's got 3 AA Rosettes and a Michelin Guide. And I say currently because obviously you can see we've got aspirations. And food is really important to everything we do at Chatsworth. All of the vegetables and the game and the produce comes from Chatsworth, comes from the immediate estate. And where we can't get it from the estate, we will go to the surrounding areas and local suppliers. We're absolutely passionate about food and provenance, and that comes through in both the menu at the Cavendish Hotel, but also in our restaurants, in our shops, in everything else we do. And of course, you know, all of those amazing things we can help you and your clients in the terms of guided tours, premium experiences, bespoke curated itineraries. You know, whether you're staying at our hotels or just visiting the area and coming for the day, we've got lots of trade-ready products which we can provide for your clients. Some of them are off the peg, but we're also well used over centuries to building bespoke itineraries for clients. We regularly tailor what we do to suit people's and our visitors' needs. I'll just give you an example. I used the phrase off the peg there, which is a phrase I really don't like, but to give you an idea of what I mean by off the peg, we've just launched our Chatsworth Regency package in our hotels. And that is a 2-night stay in the hotel. It is a candlelight Regency themed dinner in the garden restaurant. It is a private guided tour of Chatsworth with access to the library and a viewing of some of the Regency items we have in our collection, followed by an afternoon tea in the 16th century converted stables block. And so it is off the peg, but it's very far from run of the mill. And so how can we work together? You know, Chatsworth is a stunning and completely unique location. As Amy says, it's set in the heart of England, easy access to London, jump on the train 2 hours from London, just like Charles Dickens. And we've got a small but extremely knowledgeable and friendly team. We're 7 days a week, and if you contact us, we will back with a resolution for you in less than 24 hours. It's a really special place, and we'd love to welcome you and some of your visitors to Chatsworth. One final thing before I finish. We're very lucky to have a documentary filmed at Chatsworth for PBS. It was filmed last year. That's going out across America from the 1st of August on PBS. So if you are interested, or you've got clients who are interested, I encourage them to check that out. It's on PBS from the 1st of August. But that's it from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Paul and Amy. The English major in me is very excited about the Pride and Prejudice and the first editions of everything. So
You've been more than welcome, Katie. Come and see us.
I need to. So I'm now going to hand it over to Vicky with Visit Shakespeare's England, Warwickshire, with a lot of exciting things happening. So Vicky, I see your camera's already on, if you wouldn't mind just taking control.
There you go. Hello, everyone. My name is Vicky, and welcome to Shakespeare's England. Thank you for your time today. And by the way, I hope you all had a great 4th of July weekend. I had to say that. As you can probably already tell by my accent, I am American. I'm lucky to call Warwickshire my home. And as an American living here, I look at this destination through the eyes of the American traveler. It makes it a lot easier to promote and to inspire those travelers wanted to come and visit. So before I get started, I want to show you a little bit of what we have to offer, our beautiful Stratford-upon-Avon and the surrounding areas. So, what is Shakespeare's England? Who are we? Where is it? Shakespeare's England is the DMO, the local visitor economy partner through Visit Britain, Visit England. For the Warwickshire region, we encompass Stratford-upon-Avon, Warwick, Royal Leamington Spa, Kenilworth, and some of the local towns and villages. We are right in the heart of England, as you can see by the map and by the arrows pointing that little dot in the middle. That is where we are. We're very close to Coventry and Rugby. The Cotswolds is about 40 minutes, and to Oxford as well, making it really easy to combine with other destinations. One of Warwickshire's biggest strengths is its location. And as you can see by the map, we're right in the center of England. We are in a great location. We're perfectly positioned, so getting here, it's really easy. Making this as part of your travels and making it as a hub is great. As many of you know, most North American travelers arrive through London Heathrow, which is about 2 hours from where we are, and by car, and about 2.5 hours by train from central London. But if your clients don't mind connecting, Birmingham Airport is our closest airport. We're about 20 to 25 minutes. And there are good connections from many US and Canadian cities. Manchester is another great gateway, especially if your clients are also exploring Northern Ireland and Scotland. So before heading south to us. So basically getting here is very convenient and close to everything. Close enough to the Cotswolds and Oxford for a day trip. Now, one of Warwickshire's biggest advantages is how easy it is to get around once you're here in England. From London, there are regular train services to Stratford-upon-Avon with journeys times around 2 hours. You can use Chiltern Railways, Avanti West Coast, West Midland trains. But if your clients prefer driving, they can reach us under 2 hours by car or coach. The coach service that we have will also leave from London Heathrow and London Victoria with National Express, which is convenient. It's a very convenient option and very cost effective as well. And if arriving through Manchester, Stratford-upon-Avon is around 2 hours by train and about 2.5 hours by car. There's always rental cars as well, options available. And now that you have a sense of where we are, I'd like to share what makes our region so special. Most people know Stratford-upon-Avon as the birthplace of William Shakespeare, and it is his birthplace, but Warwickshire offers so much more. Within a compact area, your clients can enjoy class performances of the RSC, the Royal Shakespeare Company, historic castles, beautiful countryside, and beautiful, colorful market towns like Kenilworth or Warwick, which is literally about 10 minutes from where I'm at right now. Today, I like to take you, and I like to highlight 3 different ways to experience Warwickshire through William Shakespeare, Hamlet, and George Eliot. Let's start with William Shakespeare. What makes Stratford-upon-Avon so special is that it's a very walkable destination where visitors can experience the places that shaped Shakespeare's life, all within a small area. They can visit his birthplace, step inside Shakespeare's schoolroom, explore the Holy Trinity Church where he's buried, and finish the day with a performance at the RSC. And by the way, Shakespeare's birthplace is right in the city center, 5 minutes from everything, and they actually hold the first folio, which was written in 1623, for those of you interested in knowing a little bit more. It is not in public display, only during special occasions. And for tour operators, that flexibility is a real advantage. Stratford works well as a full day or an overnight stay, and easy to combine with places like Warwick, Coventry, Rugby, and the Cotswolds. And because Shakespeare is one of the world's most recognizable names as a destination, it is easy to sell, and that is interesting for most visitors from around the world. It's definitely one of our tourist destinations. Many of you have probably heard about Hamlet, the recent film adaptation by with Jessie Buckley. I'm sorry about my voice. I'm a little hoarse today. She received the Oscar for her performance and played Agnes, the wife of William Shakespeare. The film has generated so much buzz and is bringing a lot of interest to Shakespeare's family story. As a matter of fact, I recently hosted about 20 influencers from the US in around Stratford for a 3-day itinerary just because of Hamnet. And although the film wasn't shot in Stratford, this is where the visitors can experience the places connected to Shakespeare's life and family. From Anne Hathaway's cottage, or Agnes' family home, to his birthplace, these are real locations behind the story. From a travel perspective, Hamlet gives us a fresh way to tell Shakespeare's story. And instead of focusing only on the famous playwright, it introduces to him as a husband, as a father, and as a real person. In this slide, there are just a few of the iconic attractions that bring Shakespeare's story to life in Stratford-upon-Avon. You can easily walk between Shakespeare's birthplace and this new place, the schoolroom, and the Royal Shakespeare Theatre. They're all listed here. Stratford-upon-Avon is beautiful. It's a beautiful, charming historic town and worth experiencing with traveling to England. If you're interested, we have very experienced and knowledgeable travel trade-ready guides also to help your clients discover Stratford in less than 2 hours. This slide gives you a quick snapshot of what's on at the RSC. I thought that would be interesting to see, as they will be also performing Middlemarch parts 1 and 2 soon. So there's always something happening in Stratford and at the RSC. They also offer great packages, great backstage and custom tours, workshops, and a number of VIP experiences that work really well with FIT and groups. And for travel trade perspective, it is an easy product to book. Tickets start around £10, and they're also obviously great rates, great group rates available. Please let me know if you're interested in booking options, and I will be happy to connect you directly with the team over at the RSC. But Shakespeare is not only famous writer with a connection to Warwickshire. The region was also home to Mary Ann Evans, better known as George Eliot, one of England's greatest novelists and the author of Middlemarch. And again, we'll be playing soon at the RSC. George Eliot extends the visitor experience beyond Stratford-upon-Avon, and we encourage visitors to explore another part of Warwickshire. It's called Nuneaton, very close to Coventry, in the vicinity of Coventry, only about 35 minutes from Stratford-upon-Avon. And one of the best ways to do that is with a George Eliot Trail in the town, in Nuneaton. It is an easy, free, self-guided walk, about 2 miles, and links many of the places connected to her life and work. 2 of the most important places connected to George Eliot are Griff House, where she grew up, in Arbury Hall, where her father worked as a state manager. Both play an important role in shaping her life and inspire the characters in her novels. And this slide basically shows a few of the places mentioned before to helping George Eliot's story to life. As you can see from the images, there are historic houses and museums, beautiful countryside, it's all around Warwickshire, by the way. And some of the images more mentioned here are the Griff House, Arbury Hall, and the George Eliot statue. Now, this next slide, I wanted to show you an example of how you could build an itinerary in Warwickshire. We start with Stratford-upon-Avon, exploring Shakespeare's birthplace, and then you can continue to Anne Hathaway's cottage, the childhood home of Anne Hathaway. Visit the new place, just about 5-minute walk, and step inside Shakespeare's schoolroom for either VIP or private tour as well. And see the Holy Trinity Church, where Shakespeare is buried, and also Hamnet, but you do have to kind of look for a little bit for his burial site during in the grounds of the church. And you can also experience a really nice performance at the RSC, the Royal Shakespeare Company. So you can end the day actually with a dinner and performance at the Royal Shakespeare Theatre. You can even squeeze afternoon tea at one of our beautiful hotels and private boat cruise on the River Avon, all within just walking distance. And also, you can take the day trip about half an hour away to visit George Eliot's home and explore some of the sites that I mentioned before. Now, Shakespeare may be our biggest story, but there's so much more to discover in Warwickshire, and it's all surrounding Shakespeare's story as well. One of the things I love about this region is how much there is to see and do. History, culture, heritage, nature, we have it all. You name it. Basically, you got iconic attractions like Warwick Castle, Kenilworth Castle, the British Motor Museum we saw in the video, beautiful historic homes and gardens like Lord Leicester, Coombe Abbey, National Trust properties, Charlotte Park, and Upton House and Gardens. Plenty of other unique, like Avon boating and pottery experiences. There were too many to list them all, so I thought I'd just give you a little glimpse of what we have to offer in the region. One of the things I haven't mentioned yet is the taste of Warwickshire, the food and drink scene, and that is a big part of the visitor experience here. Our visitors can enjoy afternoon tea at a beautiful country hotel, historic manor, or abbey. Dine at a Michelin-star restaurant. We do actually have a Marco Pier White restaurant nearby, and it's an experience traditional English pub. And I know for experience that my fellow Americans, friends, and families love an experience at a very traditional pub. And they can also take a tour at a gin tasting, and gin tasting at Shakespeare's Distillery right outside Stratford-upon-Avon. But as I mentioned, the pub experiences, the traditional English pub experiences, we have some of the most incredible historic options dating back to about 1470. This kind of experience really gives visitors a true taste of England, and you can enjoy those in Stratford-upon-Avon or throughout the region. I can tell you by experience, the afternoon tea, vintage shops, and a pub it must always be included on my family's itinerary when they come and visit me from the States. So also wanted to show you a little bit about some of the offer that we have as far as accommodation is concerned, the different options, as you can see from the pictures. We have countryside hotels, beautiful farmhouses, spa hotels, and you can actually choose the type of experience to give your clients. If they want to walk everywhere, then obviously Stratford-upon-Avon, right in the center of the town. If they prefer a quiet countryside setting, right outside Stratford or Leamington Spa, and even Warwick, we have great hotels and manors, and the prices range from about 120 to up to £200 per night for double occupancy. So it is reasonably priced and with lots of character as well. Many of these hotels are pet friendly and family friendly, accessible as well. And some properties actually offer rooms, and others can offer historic luxury experience, more so than just a place to stay. And just another snapshot of the accommodation we have across Warwickshire. I mentioned in this slide some of the ones that are, depending on what you're looking for, theater breaks or country and house and spas, or hotel family friends. But if someone wants to stay right in the heart of Stratford for a theater break, you've got hotels like the Arden, Hotel the Indigo, Swan's Nest, the White Swan, etc. But they're looking for a country home, more experience, instead somewhere like Bisley Manor right outside Stratford, as well as the Welcome Hotel, the Mallory Court, only about 15 minutes away, in Leamington Spa. I think I'm almost done. So please do get in touch. This is my email and my number. You can always find me on WhatsApp. Thank you so much for your time. I look forward to working with you and welcoming you and your guests to Stratford and to the region.
Thank you so much, Vicki. We were so close at the end, so it was really interesting with Shakespeare, and I appreciate you going into more detail, especially on what's happening at the Royal Shakespeare Company. Francine, I'm going to hand it over to you if you wouldn't mind taking control.
Thanks, Katie, and hello everyone. My name is Francine and I'm Senior Marketing Executive at Visit Lake District, Cumbria. So we're located in the northwest of England. We're served by excellent connectivity, so Manchester being our closest international airport, closely followed by Liverpool. We're on the West Coast Main Line, so you can get a direct train from London in less than 3 hours or less than 2 hours from Glasgow, Edinburgh. There's also a direct train service from Manchester Airport into Oxenholme or Penrith for the North Lakes. We're only 15 minutes from the main M6 motorway, so that makes driving to the destination very easy. The London to Scotland route is very popular. Clients will often use the Lake District as a stopover before continuing their journey up to Scotland or down from there as well. And just to mention, you can see the map on the right hand side here. So just to explain, when you hear Cumbria, so this is all of this region here which I represent, and then you can see the Lake District National Park just centred there. This is where modern day tourism was born and England's largest national park. This year actually marks the 75th anniversary of the Lake District being designated as a national park. Heading over to the west coast, we've got more than 150 miles of stunning coastline which stretch from the Morecambe Bay in the south right up to the Scottish borders. So you can expect seaside towns, wildlife watching, national landscapes, or just enjoy sunsets. And then heading up north, we've got Carlisle and Hadrian's Wall. So this is our only city, so great for shopping, eateries, but we've also got the 73 miles of Hadrian's Wall, which spans from Cumbria over into the northeast, which is over 2,000 years old. Next year celebrates its 40th anniversary of being inscribed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And then to the east of the county, the Eden Valley North Pennines, brilliant for dark skies, stargazing experiences, walking, cycling, it's very peaceful. And then we even have some of the Yorkshire Dales within Cumbria too, so rolling green countryside, ancient dry stone walls. In terms of getting around, it's very easy. We've got local public transportation bus services for both locals and tourists with Stagecoach Cumbria and Lancashire. So they offer multiple bus routes right throughout the heart of the Lake District and wider, and they even have open top buses too. So it's a great way to get around. Northern Railway, they offer popular train routes as options for days out. So whether that's the settled Carlisle Railway line or the Cumbria coastal route too is a great way to be able to see that area of the county. We have local driver guides offering scheduled and bespoke tours and chauffeur-driven services too. Or why not make the journey part of the experience and actually use one of our lake cruises as a mode of transport to get around and see the destination. We are an all year round destination, so no matter what time of year you come, there's always something to see. We don't close down in the winter. In fact, it's a really magical time of year to visit. So we are a world-class destination with awe-inspiring scenic beauty, and this is what's inspired, our poets and our writers to be influential in the area, which I'll be talking a little bit about today. So starting with Beatrix Potter. Beatrix Potter is a world-renowned author, synonymous with the Lake District, which was her home for the majority of her life. Not only a talented writer and illustrator of the Peter Rabbit books, but also a keen farmer. She was a passionate conservationist, a visionary pioneer of her time, whose work is partly responsible for preserving the Lake District, which we all know and love today. She regularly holidayed in the Lake District, and this allowed her to completely fall in love with the destination. In 1905, she purchased Hilltop, which you can see pictured on the slide there, in the village of near Sorey. As the success of her books continued to grow, she invested in more Lake District land and cottages, and upon her death in 1943, she actually left the majority of her extensive estate to the National Trust, who still manage that land today. This year marks the 160th anniversary of her birth, so lots of different celebrations happening, and 2027 will celebrate 125 years since the publication of Peter Rabbit. So today you can experience Beatrix Potter's Lake District, see where she lived, holidayed and found her inspiration through a range of different bookable products, which we've listed here for you. So the World of Beatrix Potter attraction located in Bowness, very family friendly, but also great for enthusiasts. It brings to life the 23 tales which she wrote in a 3D recreation attraction. Step outside into Mr. McGregor's RHS Gold winning garden, which grows organic heritage flowers, which Beatrix grew at Hilltop. They offer Peter Rabbit themed afternoon teas for groups in their burrow space, which is private for groups. Last year they actually launched the Peter Rabbit Cafe, pictured there on the slide. This was Europe's first official licensed cafe, so it's a completely unique Peter Rabbit dining experience. They're also going to be doing a new musical for next year to tie in with the Peter Rabbit anniversary. Head to the Armit Museum in Ambleside, which tells the story of the Lakeland world and its people through a substantial collection which includes over 400 exquisite fungi drawings and watercolours, which Beatrix Potter actually left to the museum in her will. You can go behind the scenes with a passionate guide, handle rare objects, and enjoy their special walk and talks around the Armit and the tiny bridge house, which is in Ambleside, one of the most photographed buildings in the Lake District. Mountain Goat Tours, they offer the Beatrix Potter Favourite Countryside half-day tour, which runs throughout the year. Discover the scenery and landscape that inspired the author. This includes a lake cruise on Windermere, head through to Hawkshead and see her home at Hilltop, and other scenery that influenced Beatrix. Scheduled and private tours are available. But it's not just attractions that are themed to Beatrix Potter. Lindith Howe was actually built as a summer holiday home in 1879. The owner rented the house out to friends for holidays, including the Potter family. Beatrix actually illustrated 2 of her famous children's stories while staying here, and then she bought the property for her mother, Helen Potter, to live in. It sits above Lake Windermere. It has 30 bedrooms and blends sort of period details with stunning contemporary decor. FIT and group rates are available on request. And then from writers through to poets, I also wanted to talk to you about William Wordsworth. Wordsworth's poetry is synonymous with the unique landscape of the Lake District, but he was also a man who was ahead of his time, whose perspective on life is still hugely relevant today, over 250 years after his birth. He was born in Cockermouth in 1770, where he went to school to Hawkshead, and then he actually attended St John's College in Cambridge. He published his first poem in 1787, and a few years later he and his sister Dorothy met Samuel Taylor Coleridge, and together Wordsworth and Coleridge produced the Lyrical Ballads. Now these are a collection of poetry now considered to be one of the most important works of the English Romantic movement. One of his other most famous poems, but also in the English language, I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud, which was composed in 1804, a couple of years after Wordsworth saw the daffodils whilst walking along the shores of Ullswater, which you could just see pictured on the slide there. And again, there's lots of different bookable products which you can experience. So we've got Wordsworth Grasmere, and this includes Dove Cottage, the traditional lake and cottage where Wordsworth produced the most famous and best loved of his poems. There's group visits. These typically include a short introductory film, a visit of Dove Cottage, the garden orchard, the viewing station, and museum and galleries. This lasts about an hour and a half. Or perhaps for something more exclusive, their curator-led experience provides a deeper insight into this world-famous literary site. Now, these are more available for 2 to 6 people and last about 3 hours. It includes a private tour of Dove Cottage, exclusive access to the Jerwood Centre to see centuries-old letters and uncover secrets of the writer's craft. And then you can actually relax in front of a roaring fire and savour a specially curated tasting menu at Wordsworth's own table. Wordsworth Grasmere presents a major new exhibition which I wanted to mention, The Origins of Gothic Imagination. So this brings together rare books, manuscripts and treasures, including a first edition of Frankenstein. The BBC period drama The Other Bennet Sister, based on the novel by Janice Hadlow, is available on BritBox in the US and Canada. Now this has been inspiring a fresh generation to discover the timeless poetry of William Wordsworth, which is read throughout, and the series has become the BBC's biggest launch of a TV drama in almost 12 months. You can see Wordsworth's birthplace just pictured on the slide there. This is in Cockermouth. It's called Wordsworth House and Gardens. So it's presented as it would have been back when Wordsworth lived there with his parents and siblings and the family servants. And then for more products, you've got Hawkshead Grammar School, so you can actually sit at the desk where Wordsworth carved his name. Upstairs, there's exhibitions highlighting aspects of school story, including the historic school library. There's longer talks for groups, for more specialist itineraries, lots of activities for children, so it's a great option. Through to Grasmere gingerbread. You might say, what's the connection to Wordsworth here? Well, world famous Grasmere gingerbread was invented by legendary Victorian cook Sarah Nelson in 1854, but its roots stretch back to the Romantic era of Wordsworth, who actually taught at the shop when it was a village school. They can host specialist talks and tasting experiences for groups, so it's a lovely exclusive experience. There's also Allen Bank as well, which is in Grasmere. This was another of William Wordsworth's home after his time at Dove Cottage. It's a historic villa that combines a small informal art gallery with a giant indoor mural space. It's a place for artists to explore nature. You can enjoy a picnic in the surrounding grounds, relax by the fire. You might even see some red squirrels. The area is bursting with literary connections. I could go on all day, but I'm not going to. But I did also just want to mention John Ruskin, who is another. So he was a Victorian writer, philosopher, and art critic during a time when the Lake District was actually a hotspot for the country's finest creative brains. So actually, you can head to Brantwood. This is Ruskin's former home, located in a 250-acre fellside estate. Explore his life there, or you can actually head to the Ruskin Museum in the pretty village of Coniston, which celebrates the life and legacy of Ruskin too. We have a beautiful selection of properties to support your itineraries, everything from country house hotels to luxury 5-star hotels, relais and chateau properties too. And we've got self-catering properties as well. So no matter what your clients are looking for, we've got a really good selection, just a very small proportion on the screen there for you. But there's much more in our travel trade directory too. We also have 15 Michelin stars across 3 restaurants. That's the most stars north of London per region. So in terms of keeping your clients well fed, we've got some great options too. Just to very briefly touch on what's new for this year. On the foodie theme, we've got a new afternoon tea bus which has launched just this January, which takes in the stunning Lake District scenery in a non-stop loop down to Grasmere with afternoon tea served on the journey. Through to adventure, Honister Slate Mine, England's last working slate mine, are launching their Honister zip wire this summer, which will become England's longest zip wire. And then back on the foodie theme, we've got a award-winning British fish and chip restaurant, Trenchers. They're based over in the northeast and they're opening their first Lake District restaurant this week. I'm getting to go and sample it on Saturday and I'm very excited. This has been a very whistle-stop tour of the Lake District and some of our literary connections and icons. So I hope that's been of interest and you've learned some new bookable products today. We're very happy to help you, whether that's introductions to the suppliers we've mentioned or wider. We can give you access to our image library, video as well. This is our travel trade guide as well. You can take a scan of that, or we can send it to you on email as well. There's over 80 travel trade ready products on that. You are really important markets for our destination, and we'd be so delighted to help work with you on programmes and itineraries so that you can come and experience the literary icons and beauty of the Lake District. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Francine. I learned quite a bit about Wordsworth, actually. So I am now going to hand it over to Fran with Hampshire, Portsmouth, and Southampton, who is our last speaker. Fran, if you wouldn't mind turning your camera and microphone on, and I will turn mine off.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. Lovely to be here and lovely to see some familiar names. For those that haven't met me before, my name is Fran Downton. I am from Tourism South East, but representing all things Hampshire today. And like my colleagues, we are going to carry on with some of the big hitters, I think, in English literature. So just a little bit about Hampshire. And again, for those that don't know it, we have moved now right down to the very south coast of England. We are about an hour outside of London, and whether that is for FIT or for groups, your customers can travel very, very easily on direct road or direct rail links straight out of London. And if you're coming right down to the south, it's one complete rail journey, no need to get off or change. The nearest airport to Hampshire is Gatwick, just outside of London, but also really ideally located, with Heathrow only being an hour and a half away, so all very accessible. Hampshire also boasts 2 of the largest international ports within England. So Southampton port is one of the major cruising ports, welcoming over 3 million visitors throughout the year. So whether that's looking at pre and post cruise opportunities, everything we're going to talk about today is a fantastic opportunity. Portsmouth too also has a growing international cruise, and they cater mainly for the smaller boutique cruise liners. They Portsmouth also has the major ferry connection straight over from France, so incredibly easy to navigate your customers into this area. So yeah, lots to do and see around Hampshire. So just a few ideas over and above the literary connection. So miles of stunning coastline, as you can imagine, being right down on the south coast there. There are plenty of beaches, seaside opportunities, fish and chips, piers, you name it. That area has it all. We also have 2 national parks. So the New Forest is, as the name suggests, not very new, one of the oldest national parks in the country, but is a wooded forest area. And the South Downs National Park is more of countryside and rolling hills, both within Hampshire's geography. We also have millions of years of history, whether it's going right back to Jurassic times. Is home of the Royal Navy, so a really strong military naval connection there. As we're about to touch on, famous literary connections, but also a huge array of different types of events, festivals, concerts, and shows, whether that's a smaller show at a local theatre, an outdoor event, a local market event, or one of our big festivals such as Victoria's Festival, which is one of our largest music festivals in the UK. And then obviously bustling with lots of different attractions and experiences. However, we are here today to talk about literary connections. So I just wanted to touch on a few other literary connections before we get to the real big hitters. So Gilbert White, you can book places to go and go and see Gilbert White's house. He is one of the famous naturalists, one of the early naturalists in the UK. And all his works are on display in his home, with various exhibitions available there. Keats, very synonymous to Hampshire, mostly around the Winchester area, but spent a lot of time in the New Forest as well, which some of his most famous works have been attributed to that. And there are trails that you can take around Winchester and also into the New Forest that are all about these famous works. Hardy, and this is one of the most intriguing experiences, I think. So when you read a lot of the Hardy novels, a lot are set within the fictional Wessex area. However, Wessex itself is all around the south and south coast areas, and if you look for Upper Wessex within many of his books, that is all heavily linked into Hampshire. So you can actually pick out the towns and the cities around Hampshire and match them up to his fictional towns and cities within his books. And then finally, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, born in Portsmouth, creator of Sherlock Holmes. And again, there's lots of exhibitions that you can go and visit and see and link back to his stories and his childhood places within Portsmouth. But let's move on to the two of the big hitters that Hampshire is most famed for. So Charles Dickens, I know you've heard a lot about Charles already, but he was actually born in Portsmouth. His family was from Portsmouth, and so a lot of the inspirations and connections within his book are based and can be drawn out of his really strong connection to the Portsmouth area. Most famous, and again, this is available for FITs and for groups within the Portsmouth area. As I say, there's plenty of areas that you can park coaches within Portsmouth. The direct rail link from London is only an hour, and it is direct. So you get on it at London Waterloo, you get off into Portsmouth, and on your doorstep is the home of Charles Dickens' birthplace. This can be booked direct with Charles Dickens' birthplace organisation, and it allows you to experience the house set up as it was back in the day of Charles Dickens and his family living there. So there's obviously lots of the furniture has been maintained and kept, and lots of trinkets around that can be attributed back to Charles Dickens. Alongside that, you may want to take the trail, the Charles Dickens Trail. This can be booked again through either the Charles Dickens Birthplace Trust or with further details on Visit Portsmouth website. And again, this takes you through lots of Charles Dickens connections and draws out the connections within many of his works and writings. So whether that's the churches that he used to do readings within, the other houses that he used to live in Southsea and Portsmouth, his father who used to work in the dockyard in Portsmouth, and many of the different areas that provided inspiration, particularly the drinking pubs that his father used to frequent. So yeah, that is Charles Dickens, and again, lots of information. If you use the QR code at the end or go to the Visit Portsmouth website, you can find further details on how to book direct on those. And then moving on to obviously one of the biggest connections that Hampshire has. Again, you've heard a lot about her already, but Jane Austen is really synonymous with Hampshire. So this is great if you're looking to join up the dots across the country and other areas within the country, but that can't be done without a visit to Hampshire, I don't think. Whether that's looking at where she was born, where she lived, studied, wrote and died, all within the Hampshire area and the countryside area. And I should mention as well, last year we celebrated 250 years of Jane Austen, so a lot of the programmes and the existing bookable products are still in place from last year. And I'll just click this one. Bookable products, as I say, pre-existing from last year. There are lots of self-guided tours that can be, and they can all be accessed, the majority, from the Tourist Information Centre at Winchester or through the Visit Winchester site. Fabulous bookable product through the Winchester Cathedral, where she is buried. They will talk you through her whole life, and that is packaged with afternoon tea. Hidden Britain Tours are doing, and again, this can be accessed direct on the link there. They are doing tours and will encompass all aspects of her life. So take you to her house, where she lived, where she studied, the various different elements where she died, and lots of the inspirational points. And obviously, absolutely, as you've seen on that video there, Jane Austen's house, where you can actually take the tour, and Chawton House is where her brother lived, and again provided her lots of inspiration within the grounds of her house as well. Couple of special bits to note there for all things Danes, should you want to immerse your customers in it from head to foot, there are lots of opportunities to get involved in Regency week that involves the whole aspect and dressing up and living and breathing Jane Austen for the whole week. Or just if you want to do the birthday ball, these take place annually. Would absolutely suggest looking at the Jane Austen House events program. At the moment, they are doing outdoor garden events and productions around Emma, but these are rolling productions. There is always something happening there. Again, lots of opportunities if you go to the Visit Winchester website for Regency dressing up and talks and exhibitions. And and Chawton House again is firmly embedded in the literature and women's literature in particular, so there's always different talks going on there. I have slightly hurried that bit at the end, but QR code will have lots of information, and really pleased to support your itineraries however you want to do that.
Thank you so much, Fran. And I know we went a little bit over, but so I'll just quickly wrap this up by saying, in addition to the deep dive we took today, Visit Britain, we're always here as a resource. So from Robin Hood, which the Death of Robin Hood film with Hugh Jackson just premiered, Winnie the Pooh, the 100th anniversary of the original Winnie the Pooh storybook is this year, and Sherlock Holmes, to literary festivals, stunning libraries. We're just always here to answer any questions. And the film and TV series premieres recreating classic works will be sure to increase interest in potential clients. So as a reminder, this webinar was recorded. We'll upload it to Visit Britain's YouTube page, and we'll be in touch. This is everyone's contact information, and in our follow-up to you, we will include that in any follow-up materials. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I saw there weren't any questions, but if you do have any, please feel free to reach out to any of us shown on the slide.